today's game was an impressive one, and I think maybe a good place to start is the pitching, because the Cubs got another masterful pitching performance from one of their starters today with Drew Smyly on the bump. The lefty goes 6 2/3 innings. It gives up 5 hits and only 1 walk, but no runs, and he struck out 4. Got some help from his defense as well today. Ian Happ had an absolutely majestic catch on the left field wall later in the game. And early in the game, when it looked like the Marlins were going to take a 1-0 lead, Seiya Suzuki coming up with an absolute cannon from right field. And it was P.J. Higgins delivering the tag just in the nick of time, so much so they had to review it, and the Cubs were able to get the big out at first, and that kept a 0 in the earned runs column for Mr. Drew Smyly. He picks up his 4th win on the day as well, and now lowers that ERA to a 3.97 on the season. But he looked so good today. Ultimately, as we mentioned, gets deep into that 7th inning, went just a hair over 100 pitches. It was ultimately a double from the Marlins that drove him out of the game. But you got to love what you see out of Drew Smyly. Again, I think we've talked about it at nauseum here on Cubs on Tap this season, right? Of just what would this team look like had they had a healthy pitching staff for the entire season? We haven't seen it yet. We haven't seen the starting 5 outside of maybe, I think it was 2 go-arounds in the rotation, get a full, 5 starts from the guys that you expected to be 1 through 5 at the beginning of the season. We expected it would be, Kyle Hendricks obviously going into it at the beginning of the year. We knew Marcus Stroman was going to be in the rotation. We knew that, it was going to be Wade Miley when they ever so sneakishly picked him up from the Reds on waivers and just claimed his $10 million salary. And then Drew Smyly gets signed late, and everybody's kind of like, okay, there's your other guy. And then we all knew it was probably going to be either Justin Steele or Keegan Thompson, and it was ultimately Steele getting it out of the gate. Before Keegan, got inserted into the starting role due to these injuries. Really, if it wasn't for the starting rotation getting hurt, we probably wouldn't have seen Keegan Thompson in the starting rotation. But due to that, Keegan has kind of solidified himself as a starting pitcher now for this Cubs club, and that's okay. But you got to love what you're seeing out of Drew Smyly. This is the guy that they expected they were getting when they signed him to the 1-year deal before the season started, they being the Cubs, because he had a pretty strong year last year. Again, was a part of the World Series winning Atlanta Braves team, pitched some really meaningful innings in the postseason for them as well. Not always in a starting role, but, sometimes he came out of the pen and delivered more than 1 inning in relief. And he's a good pitcher. He's always been a very solid, consistent pitcher over most of his career. And today he looked sensational. I mean, still touching 94 on the high fastball late in the game. Pretty much as he was getting to 100 pitches, he was still touching mid-90s. I mean, it was just, this is the type of start you were hoping to see from Drew Smyly on a more regular basis, I think. And the Cubs got that today from him again with the 6 2/3 innings.